how did David turn into Goliath and Goliath turn into David? And I don't understand this. And this is something that I want to talk about here on the Balagan Connection, because this is something critical that ties into all of the rest. And by chance, I'm here on top of the site where this whole story actually takes off. So I'm on Tel Azekah in Israel, literally overlooking the Elah Valley. That valley down there is where David and Goliath had the showdown, where little David, with a couple of stones, with no armor and nothing, without a sword in his hand, took on massive Goliath and actually won the day and started off becoming the David that we know today. And literally on the news, I'm hearing that now, in this situation that we're talking about, somehow Israel has become the Goliath and the Palestinians have become the David.
Poor little tiny Israel, and Hamas is this gigantic power crushing Israel. What are you guys talking about? Hamas has got pea shooters. They did terrible damage on October 7th. Now Israel's done 30 times worse to the civilians. They've massacred civilians after civilians after civilians. Israel is Goliath. It is not David. It is the Germans in terms of military power. It is not the Jews. The Palestinians are the equivalent of the Jews during the Holocaust. They have been put into ghettos.
I don't understand that. But let's go into this a little bit more, because I think it's part of something that is a little bit deeper that we need to talk about and kind of explain this. Let's start off in the beginning. Philistines on this side, Israelites on this side. There's a battle between the two sides. It's a war. And we were losing to the Philistines in the beginning until David came up and killed Goliath. But we still didn't win the day. And it took David a whole career of soldiering and kingdom in order to kick the Philistines out of the country. Now, the Palestinians are even called the Palestinians because during the Second Jewish Rebellion against the Romans really wanted to get up and upset with Israel, with the Judeans who lived on the hills that you see behind me here, and they decided to change the name of Judea to something else. And they looked into the Bible or looked into the history, and they found out the name of our most terrible nemesis, and they decided to name the nation or the place Palestina. So there were Ottoman Palestinians living here, and there were, I would say, British Palestinians and Jewish Palestinians and Arab Palestinians. And the whole term Palestine is a historically, geographically designation to poke a finger in the Jewish eye. So you can't really disassociate. The Philistines lived right here. They fought against the Judeans who lived right there. This is historical fact. But history, like other things, is not playing a role. And so the Palestinians that we're talking about today, though they live in the same cities, and one of the cities that the Philistines lived in back then was the city of Gaza and other cities around. Also the city of Kiryat Gat that I can see right in front of me here. But again, I need to disassociate the Philistines from the Palestinians from a historical point of view. But here's the thing. I think there is I'm going to say a spiritual or evilness connection between them, because they have taken up the role. But here's what I find distracting. Because just like other areas where we can fuzzy up the truth, where we can totally turn the truth around, where a man can become a woman and nobody has anything to say about it, where an older man can dress up as a woman and go teach young children in a kindergarten, and we find that acceptable, just like everything that we actually held dear for many years, this can be turned upside down. And I'm hearing people on the other side of the ocean, on the other side, and in different parts of the world saying, the Philistines are the victims, and because they are victims, they are right, and because they're right, anything that is done against them or done to them is not acceptable, and everything that they do is acceptable. And again, we've turned the world upside down. This is important because if this can happen, if the world can be turned upside down, then everything can be turned upside down. And I find it fascinating that one of the main reasons this world is turning upside down, and one of the reasons that the Philistines are not now connected to the queers, the modern day Philistines, as in the Palestinians, to queers, which makes no sense whatsoever. I find this fascinating that your government can turn things upside down, and all in the name of power. And this week, the Biden administration decided that the Goliath of Israel is too big and too well armed and too scary, and they decided to tone down the Goliath of Israel and to stop shipment of crucial arms. Now, again, you can only do this if Israel is the Goliath. You can only do this if the roles have been switched. You can only do this if you see Israel as the aggressor and the Palestinians as the victim. You can only do this if you see that what happened on October 7th is justified in some way by the situation on the ground. You can only do this if you do not believe that Israel belongs on these hills. You can only do this if your power in the next election is more important than your moral compass. And if you can turn a David into Goliath, and you can turn a man into a woman, you can turn Israel into the aggressor. And that's what's being done right now. And I'm sharing this with you because I need you to understand. I need you to understand that the deceiver, Satan himself, is on the rampage right now. And the more things he can overturn, he can make you do things that you don't want to do. He can make you accept things that you don't want to accept. And he doesn't do it in big ones. He does it in small ones. Let's accept that there's different kinds of people and that all people need our support and our people need our love. Agreed. That doesn't mean that gender is on a spectrum. That still, even if people believe, that doesn't make that true. Okay, and if he can fuzzy up, if he can move around, if he can change everything, he can change everything that you hold dear. And this is something that I believe, standing on the hill where the battle took place between David on one side and Goliath on the other side, is that if you switch David and Goliath, your world is completely different. Now, I could have this discussion with the students in Columbia University or any other university. I could have this discussion with the demonstrators in Madrid or in London. But I'm having this discussion with Bible-reading, God-fearing Christian believers. You can't turn David into Goliath and Goliath into David. You can't turn right into wrong and wrong into right. If you can do that, everything in the Bible doesn't make any sense. And I think it was important to stand up here where the ultimate right and wrong, or the ultimate small and large, the ultimate aggressor and aggressee, I guess, is that even a word, okay, takes place. And I'm saying if you can change that, then nothing holds any value. And one thing, we have a big army. I can hear the planes around here. And again, I rode a tank for many years. I know what it means, okay? But when David went into battle down at that valley, he picked up 5 smooth stones, and he went into battle not with the most amazing technology, not with the most amazing weapons, not with the most amazing armor. He went into that battle with God in his heart. And I need to help Israel reconnect to that God. And I want to share something that happened here on this hill, literally over there, because if I turn this around, you're going to see that there's a group kind of sitting underneath the tree over there. And let's see if we can do this. It's kind of cool. Just don't fall over. And I don't know if you can pick out, there's a group sitting underneath the second tree over there. And as we walked up, there was a group of Israelis sitting under this tree where it was a nice place with some shade to sit. And we wanted to wait for them to move out. And somebody asked me, you know, why are these people here? And I explained that this is a group of tourists that are here because they love and support Israel. And the first question is what, they're Jews? And I said, no, they're not Jews, they're Christians. And they love and support Israel because they're Christians. And we had a very interesting interaction between secular Israelis, probably about 25 of them, on a bar mitzvah trip, okay, and this Christian group from Hawaii. And what happened was these Israelis saw the Christians as somebody who supports them and loves them. And they kept on saying, wow, it's amazing. We thank you that you're here. We thank you that you're showing support. And I was looking carefully at the eyes of the children. Bar mitzvah is 13 years old, they're here. And this is a very unique age. And these children were looking at these Christians, and I could tell that something was changing. These children, 13 years of age, will grow up with a different understanding of Jesus, of Christianity, and of Christian love. And they are going to be much more open to the gospel of Jesus Christ, to the New Testament, to everything that we stand and hold dear. They're going to be much more open than they were an hour ago. That is fascinating. That, I feel, is something that we don't stress enough. That, I feel, is something that we don't talk about, that Christians need to connect to Israel, connect to Israeli people, to connect to God's chosen people, and show them Christian love. And by showing them actually on the ground Christian love, you can open their hearts in a way that they usually are not accepted. You can open their hearts to accepting something that they would have been closed to. And I saw these kids looking at us in a completely different way than my kids and the kids in my class looked at me knowing that I was a Christian. This is mind-boggling to me. The attempt to reach out to the Jewish people is critical. The need to reach out to the Jewish people is critical. And the way to do that, like in any other evangelistic endeavor, is first and foremost, show the people you're trying to reach the love of Jesus. That happened today on this hill, overlooking David and Goliath and the battle that happened between good and evil, overlooking the story of the world trying to turn this upside down into something else, overlooking the huge amounts of history that are connected to these hills. And I'm saying today, somebody made a difference here. And I thought it would be important to share all of these different connections and explain to you that when you come here and you show Christian love to the Jewish people, to the Israelis, you're making a difference. And that is the Balagan connection for today. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. Yes, there's a link down here to Gihon Springs. Please, we need support. Gihon Springs is a ministry started by Jeff Johnson. The Balagan Connection is one of the ministries that Gihon Springs support. And if you want to connect to the Balagan Connection, just reach down there, hit the link, hit Balagan Connection, or support Gihon Springs and everything that we're doing. You will see that here. And more than anything, reach out to Israelis, reach out to Jews, show them your love, and show them what Christian love actually means. Thank you for staying so long, and I hope to see you here over the Valley of Elah as soon as possible.